Imagine a man who walked into 60 one life or death duels and never lost a single one. A man who trained alone in the mountains, slept in caves, and lived every day ready to die. While others sought comfort, he sharpened his mind until fear itself broke under his discipline. This wasn't a warrior shaped by talent or luck. This was a man who carved himself into a weapon through pure mental brutality. His name was Miyamoto Musashi. And what made him terrifying wasn't just his skill with the blade, but the mindset that made him impossible to break. What level of discipline does it take to become unbeatable? What kind of mind walks into death again and again without hesitation? Today, you're going to see the scariest version of mental and physical strength ever recorded, built by a man who believed that true mastery meant sacrificing everything, including parts of his humanity. Musashi's early mental hardening. Long before Miyamoto Musashi became a legend, he was just a boy born into chaos. Japan was in the late Sengoku period, a time when death walked casually through every village, when the sky smelled of smoke and steel, and when children grew up hearing screams before they learned to speak. Musashi was born into a world that punished weakness. And from the moment he opened his eyes, he learned that survival demanded a mind far tougher than the body it inhabited. He grew up mostly without a stable family. His father, Munisai, was a skilled martial artist, known for strict discipline and cold expectations. Instead of warmth, he offered Musashi lessons that felt closer to survival training than parenting. Musashi wasn't taught to be good. He was taught to endure. He wasn't held or comforted. He was shaped. And when his father eventually left, the boy was forced into independence before he even understood what childhood meant. This loneliness forged something frightening inside him. Most children break without guidance, Musashi sharpened. Most children hide when confronted with fear. Musashi stared straight at it. The emotional isolation turned into a strange form of freedom. With no one to rely on, he learned early that everything he had, everything he would become, had to come from within. By the age of 7, sickness nearly killed him. Fever, weakness, trembling, yet he survived through sheer will. That brush with death taught him a lesson he never forgot. The body is fragile, but the mind can command it to rise. His village often saw him as wild, a child who didn't cry, didn't complain, didn't fear pain. He walked alone through the woods for hours, sometimes days. He practiced swinging wooden sticks against trees until his hands tore open. In his solitude, mental hardness became his companion. Silence didn't frighten him, it strengthened him. By 10, Musashi had already accepted the truth that most people never confront in their entire lives. Death is always close, so fearing it is useless. That single belief formed in childhood would later become the core of his terrifying power. The first battles. At 13, Musashi stepped into the fire that would define him forever. A traveling samurai named Arima Kihei entered Musashi's village, boasting loudly, offering duels to prove his skill. Most men avoided him. Kihei wasn't just armed, he was experienced. But young Musashi stepped forward, offering a challenge no one took seriously until Kihei accepted. Imagine the psychology of a 13-year-old facing a trained warrior. No experience, no armor, no refined technique, just raw intent. Most boys would shake. Musashi felt something else entirely, clarity. He knew fear intellectually, but he did not let it rule him emotionally. His mind had already hardened beyond his age. He didn't even have a proper sword. He carved a wooden staff and walked into the duel with nothing but conviction. When Kihei charged, Musashi didn't hesitate. He moved forward, closing the distance, turning the fight into chaos. Before the warrior could draw his blade fully, Musashi struck his head with such force that Kihei collapsed instantly, bleeding, dying. It wasn't luck, it wasn't instinct. It was the first demonstration of Musashi's ruthless discipline. Destroy hesitation, strike the moment you decide, and never look back. This moment changed everything. Villagers saw a monster, samurai saw a prodigy. Musashi saw the first proof that a sharpened will could overpower even skill. He wouldn't stop. With every duel, every confrontation, every moment of danger, his mind grew colder, clearer, stronger. He wasn't fighting to win, he was fighting to learn. Each battle was a lesson. Each opponent was a mirror showing him what he lacked. And so the boy began transforming into something Japan had never seen before, a warrior who treated death as a teacher. The philosophy of no mind Mushin. As Musashi matured, he discovered a mental state that would define his approach to battle. Mushin, or no, mind. This wasn't emptiness in the sense of nothingness. It was freedom. Freedom from fear, from hesitation, from emotional interference. Most fighters enter a duel thinking, what if I lose? What if I die? Musashi ended with one thought, be present, be unstoppable. Mushin allowed him to act without overthinking, to respond with pure instinct refined by thousands of hours of self-imposed training. Fear slows the body, doubt creates hesitation, emotion clouds judgment. Musashi removed all of them. He practiced letting his mind float above panic, above ego, above desire. He trained through pain, through cold, through fatigue, until nothing could distract him. Mushin became a psychological shield, one that turned him into a force of nature. Observers often said he moved as if guided by something non-human, but that's the misunderstanding. It wasn't a spirit guiding him, it was a mind that had been stripped of everything unnecessary. Fearlessness wasn't natural. He built it. Emotional control wasn't gifted. He forged it. Mushin wasn't magic. It was discipline at its purest form. This philosophy made Musashi terrifying. You cannot intimidate someone who accepts death, someone who has no inner conflict, someone whose thoughts never slow his blade. This is the mindset of an undefeatable human. 61 duels. The unbroken record. Most warriors struggle to survive one duel. Musashi survived 61, all lethal, all real, all decisive, and he never lost. What made him unbeatable wasn't just skill, it was strategy, geometry, timing, psychological warfare. He read opponents like books. He studied how people moved, how they breathed, how they reacted when scared. Musashi never fought properly. Samurai often criticized his unorthodox methods. But Musashi didn't care about tradition, he cared about winning. If showing up late to a duel broke the opponent's rhythm, he did it. If using a wooden sword created strategic advantage, he used it. If psychological pressure weakened his enemy, he applied it relentlessly. His most famous duel, the confrontation with Sasaki Kojiro, shows this perfectly. Kojiro was known for his long, drying pole sword technique. He was elegant, quick, graceful, almost superhuman. People believed he could defeat anyone, but Musashi knew elegance was predictable. He intentionally arrived late, forcing Kojiro into anger. He carved a wooden sword from an oar on the boat ride to the island, choosing reach over refinement. When they faced each other, Kojiro swung first fast, precise, deadly. Musashi dodged by a hair. In that instant, he understood everything. Kojiro's timing, his rhythm, his confidence, and his weakness. Musashi counterattacked with unrestrained power. His wooden sword cracked into Kojiro's skull, ending the duel instantly. No armor, no mercy. Just analysis, timing, and execution. This duel cemented his legacy. A man who defeated Japan's most skilled swordsman using only a wooden blade and a strategy built on psychological domination. He didn't just win duels, he dismantled opponents mentally before ever striking physically. That is why his record remains untouched centuries later. His physical training regime, Musashi's physical strength, wasn't built in glamorous dojos or under wealthy patrons. It was forged on the road, in forests, in mountains, in abandoned temples. He lived like a wandering shadow, relying on endurance more than comfort. He created the dual sword fighting style Nitten Ichiryu because he believed limiting oneself to one blade was restricting the body's natural potential. Using two swords required brutal training, stronger wrists, faster reflexes, superior balance. It was a style designed for total domination. He trained by swinging heavy wooden swords endlessly until his muscles burned, then kept training past the burn. He sparred against multiple opponents to condition his awareness. He practiced movement drills in the dark to sharpen his senses. He trained barefoot in snow, believing discomfort was the birthplace of strength. While other warriors trained for skill, Musashi trained for adaptation. Skill breaks when conditions change. Adaptation bends and survives. His endurance was legendary. He could fight for long periods without slowing, walk miles across harsh landscapes, and survive environments that would break normal men. Every hardship became fuel. Every limitation became a challenge. Musashi didn't chase strength for vanity or fame. He pursued it as a duty, a responsibility, a way of shaping his spirit into something unstoppable. His body was strong because his will demanded it. The Book of Five Rings, Mental Strength Principles. In his later years, Musashi retired from constant wandering and wrote the Book of Five Rings, a philosophical masterpiece that explains his approach to strategy, combat, and life. It is divided into 5 elements: ground, earth, the foundation, stability, discipline, know where you stand, master the basics, strengthen the roots before reaching upward. Water, adaptability, flexibility, flow, move like water fit any situation, shift plans instantly, never cling to rigidity. Fire, intensity, momentum, aggression, strike decisively, overwhelm the opponent, take initiative with fearless action. Wind, understanding others, study other styles, other minds, other strategies, not to imitate, but to dismantle. The void, the highest state of mastery, pure awareness, pure instinct, pure presence, the moment where thought disappears and action becomes effortless. Musashi believed discipline wasn't something you used only in battle, it was a way of living. Every action, from how he breathed to how he walked, was part of his training. Life itself became the dojo. Every moment was an opportunity to sharpen the mind, His message was simple but eternal. Master yourself first, the rest follows. Lessons for the viewer. Musashi's story isn't just history, it's a weapon for anyone willing to use it. You may not face battles with swords, but you face battles in your mind every day. The same principles that made Musashi unstoppable can strengthen anyone willing to apply them. Discipline beats motivation. Musashi didn't rely on feeling inspired. He acted relentlessly, even in suffering. Eliminate fear by confronting it. Fear loses power when you walk toward it, not away from it. Harden your mind through controlled discomfort. Musashi trained in storms, in cold, in isolation. You can train by pushing past excuses, master the basics deeply. Repetition isn't boring, it's transformation. Adapt instead of breaking, flow like water, change quickly, adjust, evolve, live with purpose. Musashi didn't drift, he walked the path every day until it consumed him. By adopting even a fraction of Musashi's discipline, you step into a different life, one where your excuses lose power, where your mind becomes your ally, and where you discover a version of yourself you didn't know existed. Because the scariest level of strength isn't physical, it isn't even mental. It's the combination of both, sharpened through hardship, focused through discipline, and directed toward a purpose that cannot be shaken. If Musashi's path awakened something in you, don't let it fade when the video ends. Discipline grows only when you feed it. If you want more stories of warriors who forged themselves through suffering, sacrifice, and unshakable will, make sure you subscribe. This channel is building a library of minds like Musashi, people who refused weakness, people who carved their destiny with their own hands. Tell me in the comments, which principle from Musashi's life hit you the hardest? Was it his fearlessness, his relentless discipline, his belief that mastery means giving up everything else? Your answer might inspire someone who needs it. And if you're ready to go even deeper into the psychology of unstoppable humans, watch the next video in this series. Keep sharpening your mind, keep fighting your battles, and remember, strength is not found, it is forged.